words you stole won't save your soul. They can only buy you time. Light a candle or curse the dark. It's all the same to me. Start a fire or drown the spark and shake away the heat. Tell the truth or live a lie. Just don't close your eyes. Let down and so spent, you've been holding up the world with your good intent. Help out like you should. It's a burden that you never really understood. But Caroline, I'm doing fine. It's the others who are dying. Light a candle or curse the dark. It's all the same to me. Start a fire or drown the spark and shake away the heat. Tell the truth or live a lie. Just don't close your eyes. And you're breaking, but you're faking. Nothing's ever wrong. Concealing what you're feeling, always standing strong. But you don't need to act like you don't bleed when you come falling down. 'Cause there's no healing when you're not feeling anything at all. Light a candle or curse the dark. It's all the same to me. Start a fire or drown the spark and shake away the heat. Tell the truth or live a lie. Be a burden or a prize. Stick around or say goodbye. Just don't close your eyes. Cold hands and sore feet. You've been walking for an hour on abandoned streets. Weak knees and fresh scars. It's a struggle when you're losing track of who you are. The words you stole won't save your soul. They can only buy you time. Light a candle or curse the dark. It's all the same to me. Start a fire or drown the spark and shake away the heat. Tell the truth or live a lie. Just don't close your eyes. Let down, so spent, you've been holding up the world with your good intent. Help out like you should. It's a burden that you never really understood. But Caroline, I'm doing fine. It's the others who are dying. Light a candle or curse the dark. It's all the same to me. Start a fire or drown the spark and shake away the heat. concealing what you're feeling, always standing strong. But you don't need to act like you don't bleed when you come falling down. 'Cause there's no healing when you're not feeling anything at all. Light a candle or curse the dark, it's all the same to me. Start a fire or drown the spark, shake away the heat. Tell the truth or live a lie. Be a burden or a prize. Stick around or say goodbye. Just don't close your eyes. Cold hands and sore feet. You've been walking for an hour on abandoned streets. Weak knees and fresh scars. It's a struggle when you're losing track of who you are. The words you stole won't save your soul. They can only buy you time. Light a candle or curse the dark, it's all the same to me. Start a fire or drown the spark, and shake away the heat. Tell the truth or live a lie, just don't close your eyes. Let down and so spent, you've been holding up the world with your good intent. Help out like you should, it's a burden that you never really understood. But Caroline, I'm doing fine, it's the others who are dying. Light a candle, curse the dark, it's all the same to me. Start a fire or drown the spark, and shake away the heat. Tell the truth or live a lie, just don't close your eyes. And you're breaking, but you're faking, nothing's ever wrong. Concealing what you're feeling, always standing strong. But you don't need to act like you don't bleed when you come falling down. 'Cause there's no healing when you're not feeling anything at all. Light a candle or curse the dark, it's all the same to me. Start a fire or drown the spark, and shake away the heat. Tell the truth or live a lie. Be a burden or a prize. Stick around or say goodbye. Just don't close your eyes. sore feet. You've been walking for an hour on abandoned streets. Weak knees and fresh scars. It's a struggle when you're losing track of who you are. The words you stole won't save your soul. They can only buy you time. Light a candle or curse the dark. It's all the same to me. Start a fire or drown the spark and shake away the heat. Tell the truth or live a lie. Just don't close your eyes. Let down and so spent, you've been holding up the world with your good intent. Help out like you should. It's a burden that you never really understood. But Caroline, I'm doing fine. It's the others who are dying. Light a candle or curse the dark. It's all the same to me. Start a fire or drown the spark and shake away the heat. Tell the truth or live a lie. Just don't close your eyes. And you're breaking, but you're faking. Nothing's ever wrong. Concealing what you're feeling, always standing strong. But you don't need to act like you don't bleed when you come falling down. 'Cause there's no healing when you're not feeling anything at all. Light a candle or curse the dark. It's all the same to me. Start a fire or drown the spark and shake away the heat. Tell the truth or live a lie. Be a burden or a prize. Stick around or say goodbye. Just don't close your eyes. Cold hands and sore feet. You've been walking for an hour on abandoned streets. Weak knees and fresh scars. It's a struggle when you're losing track of who you are. The words you stole won't save your soul. They can only buy you time. Light a candle or curse the dark. It's all the same to me. Start a fire or drown the spark and shake away the heat. Tell the truth or live a lie. Just don't close your eyes. Let down and so spent, you've been holding up the world with your good intent. Help out like you should. It's a burden that you never really understood. But Caroline, I'm doing fine. It's the others who are dying. spark and shake away the heat. Tell the truth or live a lie. Just don't close your eyes and you're breaking, but you're faking. Nothing's ever wrong. And concealing what you're feeling, always standing strong. But you don't need to act like you don't bleed when you come falling down. 'Cause there's no healing when you're not feeling anything at all. Light a candle or curse the dark, it's all the same to me. Start a fire, drown the spark, shake away the heat. Tell the truth or live a lie. Be a burden or a prize. Stick around or say goodbye. Just don't close your eyes. Cold hands and sore feet. You've been walking for an hour on abandoned streets. Weak knees and fresh scars. It's a struggle when you're losing track of who you are. The words you stole won't save your soul. They can only buy you time. Light a candle or curse the dark, it's all the same to me. Start a fire or drown the spark and shake away the heat. Tell the truth or live.
이렇게 헤스트위드 원단으로 큰 가방, 그리고 이런 두꺼운 캔버스 원단, 블랙 컬러로 작은 가방을 만들었는데, 여기 이렇게 이 고리에 이 작은 가방 연결고리를 걸어서 이렇게 2개 백으로 사용할 수 있는 거고요. 여기에 이 크로스를 또 큰 가방 고리에 다 같이 걸어가지고 이렇게 해서 가방이 완성이 됩니다. 제가 이 가방을 큰 걸로 만들었는데 아무래도 포인트 백이기 때문에 이런 포인트 백을 작은 가방으로 하는 게 좀 더 예쁠 수도 있고, 이거는 이렇게 2개 백으로 써도 되고, 이 작은 가방을 빼면은 이걸로 하나만 크로스백으로 사용해도 됩니다.
Just don't close your eyes and you're breaking, but you're fading.